It's not right. My world is not right.
The clock is ticking for the Hale family as another week passes without hearing from 22-year-old Savannah.
And unfortunately, as an adult, Savannah was not declared missing until 72 hours after Kirsten reported it.
Her mother, Tiffany, says Savannah and her boyfriend went to a bar the night before she went missing. The two went home, and at some point during the night, her mother says Savannah left the apartment. She was last seen leaving this parking garage in Shreveport the next morning. What has this been like for you?
It's a 22-year-old young lady she's decided to just tell us all she's not going to do anything or whatever, because that's what I wanted to believe. But when I look back over things, you can't look at it with a naked eye. You have to be honest with yourself. My daughter wouldn't do this.
All right, joining us now on KSLA Investigates Cold Cases is Chris Bordelon with the Shreveport Police Department. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I want to talk about the Savannah Hale case went missing a few years ago. It really hasn't moved much since then. What's the latest we're hearing?
Well, so our investigators still periodically look into these cases, and I actually made contact with the initial investigator involved in this case, and she ran down some of the basics and basically determined that we had used all of the investigative procedures that we had in place at the time to further this investigation, and we really had come up empty on gathering any leads.
Can you take us back to the day she went missing and all the facts that the police department knows at this time?
Well, in the case of Miss Hale, we do know we were able to track down some GPS coordinates as to where she was last on using her cell phone and in situations like that, and we were able to locate a last known place where she pumped gas or used a convenience store. And our investigators kind of went from there to determine if there was anything that they could do to further that investigation. And at which time we just really came up dry and haven't received any tips from the community as to where she could have gone past that time.
I know the mother's been in contact as well. Has she said anything that concerned her leading up to her disappearance?
I don't have any pertinent information regarding any conversations between the investigators and the family, but I did speak with the investigator, and the investigator stated to me that she still believed that there was a good chance that Miss Hale was still alive.
Okay, so right now they're not suspecting any foul play at this point, or that she could be gone at this point?
Well, there was no indication from what the investigators knew that any foul play had occurred or any types of violence or anything like that. So barring some type of accident, the investigator really had positive feelings that Miss Hale could be alive.
I know they had a dive team a couple of years ago searching the area as well, came up with nothing. Is that still something you guys think could have happened?
That is one of the theories that investigators have had, and tracking down the last direction of travel. Unfortunately, our state is covered with large bodies of water, so when it comes to trying to triangulate where a vehicle may have entered water, it's very difficult, especially not knowing where that vehicle was last traveling.
So for an investigator in this situation, it's been a couple of years now. What's the next step? What are you guys kind of waiting for at this point?
Well, the biggest thing that we need is some direction from the community, someone that spoke to her or saw her that would give us another direction to go. Our investigators have really tapped out what we can do with cell phone forensics, as well as tracing Ms. Hale's bank accounts and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, we hit a roadblock of just trying to determine where and what direction she was going.
If people have any information on the case, what's a good number they can call?
They can call 673-7300 and ask to speak to one of our investigators. And we're still hopeful. This case is still in an open status, and it will remain that way until we're able to determine what actually happened.
Mr. Bordelon, thanks so much.
Anytime.